All right, welcome to Dugout Talk with the Downs Bros. This is my brother Tommy Downs. I am Tony Downs, and we are with Corbin Weeks from Montreat College. That's montreat.edu.
Montreat.
I'm Montreat. I
Come on,
said it
bro.
again. God
You
dang
keep
it.
getting it out wrong. Jesus. Help the
Montreat.edu.
guy out, man. We're trying to promote him.
Montreat.edu. All right, there we go. I got it now. Professor Downs, let's go, Jack. Anyway, so we're going to talk a little baseball with Corbin. He is currently a softball coach at Montreat College, NAIA school. Right? You said Appalachian Mountains area,
Yep.
Tennessee, right? So,
Yep.
he was experienced baseball and softball, obviously as a player. But we're going to go ahead and let him talk a little bit about that and talk baseball tonight with him. So here you go, Corbin.
Yeah. So most guys, they know our field from Twitter. We have the only navy blue and gold turf field in America.
No, that's sweet.
Really?
It's cut out of the side of the mountain on campus.
Jesus, bro.
No way.
It goes viral all the time on Twitter and stuff. You guys have probably seen it. Now that you've heard it,
No, I'm gonna, yeah.
Amazing coaching staff. Coach Jason Beck was my coach at Southeastern down in Florida, and he's been here almost a decade now. And those guys are the real deal. Obviously, I moved on from the staff to softball. My best friend Rick is the head assistant, and then he's got a great staff and a pitching coach from ETSU, East Tennessee State, Trip Stores. Has a couple of great part-time assistants, a couple of great GAs, and those guys are really killing it.
That's awesome. So let me hit you with the first question. Okay, we'll just knock it right out of the park here. Let's talk about rosters. Softball versus baseball rosters. Talk to me about the size of rosters and the differentiation between the two.
Yeah, so baseball, I mean, you can on your typical varsity roster in college, you're going to anticipate 45 guys. Probably 20 arms, 18, 16 to 20 arms.
Versus 3 or 4 softball.
Versus 3 or 4. I carry 6 on my team, maybe 7 on the higher side just because I believe in pitching. And so the biggest difference is, again, girls are throwing every day, maybe every other day, depending on their role in your program, and guys are throwing once or twice a week. And so in my softball program, I've kind of taken the baseball approach of establishing, starters and mid relievers and closer type roles. But in baseball, obviously, that's been solidified for 100 years. And so in college baseball, a good program, 45 guys on a roster, maybe 28 to 30 on a travel roster.
Yeah, it's a big difference. It's a huge difference with softball, because I know Tommy and I were just talking about in other previous podcasts that the rosters, especially with these college coaches now, both softball and baseball, the universities are pushing them for a JV team. Are you guys been pushed with a JV team yet?
Yeah, we've had JV sports since I've been here, and I'm in year 6. We've had JV sports for a long time now. I think that JV sports, in my opinion, are great. Okay. A lot of coaches think JV is a burden. It's a tuition booster, all these things. For us, JV has provided a platform for our guys to prove, one, what they can do, but 2, they just don't sit around and rot, right? They don't just take a red shirt. And
it's not all just practice based now, right? Now they have game opportunities.
And so on our baseball program, those JV guys will play 30 games a year. And softball, I know I've got 25 JV games on the book, and they're playing other JVs, they're playing JUCOs, and so I use it as a recruiting tool when we play, the 2-year schools. But again, I want to see if a kid can do it. Can they do it against college arms, or can they play the game at the level we think? And so again, some of our JV kids are getting on baseball and softball, they're getting more money than our varsity players because we believe in them. Again, that player development piece just needs to kick in a little bit, and they just need to refine those tools and polish them a little bit. But I think a lot of kids get afraid of JV. They think that it's just a dead end. And I just think it's how a program and a coach presents it. It's just like anything else in life. How do you present it to somebody else? And so for us, it is a true system where you're going to develop and you're going to get better. And if you do what you need to, you are going to be an impact player in one of our programs.
Yeah, just like the minor leagues, right?
Yeah, same thing.
Just like there's a lot of high school programs out there that give it a bad name. Actually, JV, that junior varsity, a bad name, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Right. And if you take, I mean, you go to the college level, you're at the elite of the elite. And if you look at that as like a minor league program, and you're developing these kids because they're 18, sometimes 17. and
Yeah.
they're playing with 22, 23-year-olds. They may just not have it yet. They're not be strong enough. They may not be mature enough. They
Right.
may not be developed enough. There's a
Right.
million different reasons, but that's where these games where you're playing, like say you said 30 games, gosh, there's only 50 games in the season. You're
Yeah.
playing 30 as a JV and maybe even sniff some of that varsity stuff.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
And again, you could play JV and varsity as long as you don't reach your game limit. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
you could play your 30 games on JV, and then if you're allowed 50 games, you can play another 20 on varsity.
Yeah. And I know, Corbin, that they've been throwing this around for the last 2 years, but NEI has been talking about statting JV games.
Yes.
And holding them out so they can get recognized, which again, I don't think is a bad thing. I think everybody should be recognized for being good, right?
I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I'm for it. I'm for it. And again, like, and here's the thing, here's the other side of it, right? Like we have some kids in our programs in softball and baseball that say, Coach, like, I'm not very good. I know it. Like, I'm a JV player. I just want to be a part of something bigger than myself. Like, I love the school. I love the program. I want to work hard for something. Like, and we're cool with that too. You know what I mean? Like, and so I think that all the way around, it's just how you present the opportunity to some kids. So
yeah, no, there is. It's funny because we have a school here in Arizona where I'm not even joking to you right now. Their roster is about 110.
yeah, there's a D2 school here in South Carolina that's carrying 120. They're running
Yeah.
2 JV teams.
Yeah, I mean that, and
Now, I don't believe in that either. Like,
Yeah.
but
well,
like,
I mean, getting to the varsity team with 110, 120, 100 plus guys
ain't happening.
Man, I mean, here's my own son. He actually played at Culver Stockton NEI, broke records, all league, everything, and then he transferred out his last year because he graduated. He was a COVID kid, and he redshirted, and so he had one more year. And he's like, "Dad, what am I going to do?" And he's like, "I'm just going to play close to home." Well, guess what? That school had 120 kids.
Yeah,
but I mean, he was obviously more developed and everything, so he didn't have to transition to the JV or whatever. But what I'm saying is, younger person coming in, 120 kids, you're a freshman. If you're not a stud, you may just only be JV for 4 years.
Yeah, and again, like that's part of where like a lot of those coaches that are carrying that many guys, like that's not at the forefront of their conversation. Like they're not lying, but they're not exactly presenting the opportunity the way it needs to be. And so that's where kids, like, the important part of getting on campus. Like, you walk around campus for a tour and you see 80 dudes in specific school baseball sport gear. Like, put 2 and 2 together, man. Like, the pieces
Or
fit.
ask the question.
Yeah,
Ask the question. That's one thing with the recruiting services. We're asking questions. These kids are asking these college coaches, "Hey, how many spots? You got how many roster spots? How many do you carry to travel with, and how many do you have on the team, or vice versa, whatever."
Yeah,
but it's all about asking the right questions, right?
Or how about, hey, can I do this program and still be an athlete? How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that academically, you mean like being a nurse or whatever?
Yeah, student teaching with education, like that puts a damper.
That's a big one, right? Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah. All right, T, it's your turn, buddy.
It's my turn. What the heck?
Oh, I know you're sitting there on your hands. I get it. It's okay. I got you.
So going from obviously baseball to softball, what's been the biggest transition that you've struggled with? I know that communication is probably number one, so let's not talk about that since that's probably already been talked about. But what do you think the biggest, just coming from not understanding the difference between the games? I mean, what's been the biggest struggle for you?
Yeah. Okay. This is like easy. Okay. Data, metrics, numbers.
Yeah.
Like I said, baseball's 10 years ahead of softball in terms at our level, in terms of TrackMan and synergy and the way that we collect data and the way we did scouting reports. And like, I think transitioning from baseball to softball, like getting my softball team to understand, like, remove emotion from the game. Like, obviously there's a piece to that, but like, we're playing the data. Like, I actually made my softball team watch Moneyball last year. They thought I was crazy. Yeah. And at the end of the movie, they're like, "All right, coach, like, I get it." Like, it's the guys in the world that us three grew up in, revolving data and metrics and numbers, like, is a different world to the girls on the softball side. And so, when we were running Rapsodo 6-7 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, and so, I think that's the biggest difference, is getting guys buy into the numbers. Like, the numbers don't lie. Spin rate doesn't lie. Exit velocity doesn't lie. Bat speed, launch angle. Like, and I'm a numbers freak. Like, I believe in it all. I believe in the science. And so getting the girls to understand that on the softball side, has been a little bit hard. Now they've embraced it. They're doing well, like with defensive positioning and all of that kind of stuff. But it goes against the grain of everything they've known in the game that they've grown up in. And so that's been, a little bit hard. But again, like the more aha moments that you have in baseball and softball, like where the numbers start making sense and you see in real time, like you get so much more buy-in.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more with that.
Great. Actually, it's funny, Corbin. We just got huddled so we can compound our stats, and they break it down for you. And then we also just got those new watches where you can just
go route
the defensive signs. And honestly, bro, I love it because I'm tired of calling out numbers. Tired of it.
Yep. Yeah, we run a smart comm, and my catcher wears an earpiece. So like we're using electronic pitch calling, plus I'm still coaching the catcher.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, I love that. Tommy, you blow someone's ear out if you did that.
Yeah.
So I got a question for you. What do college coaches expect from parents during the recruiting process?
I mean, that's pretty similar across the board in all sports. I think that parents need to expect that it's going to be hard, like across the board, like sport level, like it's hard. And so, I even on the baseball side, my recruiting process in softball was kind of the same thing that I took in baseball, and Coach Beck really entrusted me with overseeing that kind of stuff. And so, I think like the most like kind of raised eyebrows that I get the most is on roster size, is on like you don't travel, like questions of you don't travel your whole team, like things like that. Like just because they've never been taught, like they don't know what they don't know. Like their high school team gets on the bus. Well, we can't take the whole team. We take 28. You know what I mean? Or you guys fundraise in college? Well, yeah, we still fundraise in college. Like, and so like I think that parents, for me personally, I know a lot of coaches are like, man, I like the parents to back off a little bit. Like I like the parents to let the kid do their thing. And I agree with that. Like I do. But I also truly love when parents are really invested in their kid and they ask me great questions at our conference table, because like the more you can lay out in front of them, right? Sure. The less shock it is on the back end.
Sure.
Right. And so like lay everything out there. Here's who we are. Here's what we believe in. Here's what we do. Here's how we're going to do it. Like, does this fit what you're looking for or not? And if the kid says yes, great. If not, like, wish them well. But again, for us, I know Coach Beck on the baseball staff and so in softball, I've adopted it. Like, lay it all out there and let the kid make the best decision for themselves, because it's better to lose a kid than to take a kid that never fit your program and ends up with issues later.
Good for the kid and for the coaches, right? And I think that's so important. So I got a part 2 to that question. And what are some of the do's and don'ts for these parents in the recruiting process? Because I mean, we could just do a podcast just on this, I'm sure, all night long. But what are some of the do's and don'ts for these parents in this process?
Yeah, and man, stop wasting money in spaces that you're not getting any return.
Okay, good job.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
can you dive into a little bit? What were you talking about? I mean,
so specifically camp season, right? It's the fall. Every time you get on Twitter, like, thank you, so-and-so program, I just got your letter in the mail, because they don't know that it came from a third party. Like, it's camp season, you know what I mean? It's camp season. Like, I'm getting invited to XYZ camp. Like, I think camp season is really dangerous because parents are putting forth so much money to travel and to have these camps and for their kids to attend, and they're getting no return. Right. And so I think it's so important to reach out to that coach and say, Coach, I'm super interested in attending your camp. Like, do I have a realistic chance of playing here? Or like, are you really interested in me? And again, that coach can say, yeah, I've seen you at a tournament. I just really want to get to know you and get you here. Like, gauge the interest, right? Because again, in specifically softball, baseball is trended a little bit differently. Like, they're a little bit more advanced. Softball is still like, LSU sent me a letter. I'm going to camp. They want me.
$500.
$500. And so for me, like, guys, I don't even hold showcase camps anymore. I don't. Because I'll have a camp with 30, 40 kids, and I want one of them.
Yeah.
And then I go home and I'm like, man, like, 30 or 40 kids just spent their money to come visit Montreat, and none of them had what it took to play here.
Yeah.
Did I truly, like, to the core of who I am as a person, did I do what was right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I gave them a great day of softball, campus tour, lunch. They enjoyed it. That's great. But they came here with the expectation that they were going to be recruited, and now they're left empty-handed. So I don't even hold showcase camps anymore because I just invite kids to campus and come tour, work out with the team, eat lunch with me. Like, let's start there.
Yeah.
Right. And so, like, the biggest don'ts is like, stop wasting money where you're seeing no return.
Yeah.
And again,
Well,
we talk about NCSA and NSR and all the field level and yada, yada, yada. Like, you know what I mean? And so, like, I'm just a firm believer in, like, in specifically baseball and softball, like, spend your money where you're getting a return on your investment.
yeah. Well, I'm glad you like broke that down, because this is why I got into the business. I've been doing it and helping these kids for years and years and years. And finally I'm like, God dang it, man. Some of these companies are just, they're just taking money, right?
It's a money grab.
It's a money grab.
Yeah.
It pisses me off because my heart, I mean, honestly, the data is the data. 95% of the kids are not getting recruited. 5% or less are, right? And so that's my whole mantra of my business, Tech College Recruitment, is, I'm going to help the 95% who aren't getting recruited. I'm not going to work with the 5% who are, unless they really want my advice.
Yeah.
But I'm working with the 95, and I'm going to teach them how to find these 1,700 baseball schools. Right?
Yeah.
I'm going to teach them how to communicate with a coach, how to get on their radar. Right. And that's something that a lot of these other companies just don't do. They're like, all right, you paid for it. Here's a step. I want you to do this, this, and this. And then that breaks my heart, man, because
dude, I just signed a kid, a pitcher out of Florida, and she paid for one of those services. And, I initially got some kind of email from the portal or whatever it is. Right. And so we end up landing this kid, and the scout texts me, Coach, congratulations so much on landing so-and-so and so-and-so. But she doesn't know that kid came and visited. And then I asked, like, hey, what's up with this recruiting service? Coach, they've never seen me. I paid for it. Like, I don't know who that it really is. They don't really know me.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and so again, like, but that company is now posting it on Twitter. It's on Instagram. It's on Facebook. And so again, it's just this very much smoke and mirrors effect of, like, you pay X amount of dollars and we're going to send it out to X amount of schools, and we're going to throw that needle in the haystack and hope something crawls out of it, And so,
see, you're absolutely right, and thank you for that, Corbin, because that's one thing that I'm trying to separate myself from everybody else. And that's,
and that's the thing, dude. Like, your personal touch is not like, you're not just like selling them. Like, dude, you're an advisor. Like, I'm advising you on how you should walk and how you should talk and how you should act and what you need to do. Like, you're not selling this service. Like, dude, you're advising them on the things that they're going to need to be successful, not just in softball or baseball, but in life.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, they're not just paying for your college recruitment plan. Like, dude, they're paying for Tony Downs. Like, your one-on-one, your time. Like, they're paying for your experiences and the wins and losses that you've had personally.
Yeah.
And so what you do from the advising side is totally different than blasting out, mass emails.
Yeah, and that's my whole point to this conversation is, really, I mean, you guys can't be everywhere. You just can't, right? And there's a lot of freaking studs out there that just aren't getting the opportunity, right? You got 9 players on the field, baseball, softball, that are out there playing every single day, every single game, and they're just not. No one's talking to them, and they go to a college. They go to a college recruitment camp or whatever. Let's say in the summertime, and there's 40 coaches.
Yeah.
And there's 1,000 players, or 800 or 700 or whatever that is.
Yeah. In baseball, and I'm telling you, softball, coaches are attending left and right and left and right. So, like, I've listened to some of your guys' stuff where you're like, man, there's 30, 40 coaches at a tournament. Dude, you're going to see 30, 40 baseball coaches at 1 or 2 events a year. The PBR National Championship and the WWBA. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. I've done baseball a long time. I had teams, national teams, done the whole thing. Like, like that's the whole thing. And that's where networking comes in, right? Like, I can't tell you how many times that I've got friends, that I'll reach out to, baseball or softball, and I'll say, hey, like, I had this kid, I found him. I don't have money for them. I can't take them. I don't want them playing against me. Like, you need a shortstop? Here's a kid. I'm setting it up on a tee. Or for example, like networking, I might call Tommy and say, dude, like I trust you. There's this kid out in northern Iowa. Like, you know who this is? Oh yeah, man. Like she's a great fit for your school. Or nah, man, you don't want her. Like I've seen her, bad attitude, whatever. Like, and that's baseball and softball side, like networking. So
yeah, I can tell you, Corbin, we've brought that up so much, and I don't think parents, and I don't think athletes realize how much coaches talk to each other, especially when they're at maybe a recruiting event or just in general.
yeah.
I mean, everybody sees everything, and everybody's like, "This is this is that," and again, we all take that information, especially if we trust somebody. 100%.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can talk about Yuma. I mean, when we're all talking and we're talking about these, these kids. Hey, do you see so and so? Yeah, my likes are going to be different than your likes, right?
Yeah.
And so you may like that big bomber, but I might not like them because they can't run or whatever, right? So, but we talk, right? Because that's one thing that Tommy and I do, and especially Tommy, he's all about, if I can't help them and they can play, I'm going to get them to somebody that can help them, right? And that's
because they're either going to play for you or against you.
100%. And
I don't want them in my conference. So I'm like,
right.
Yeah.
There's a school out in South Carolina, I know.
Yeah.
It's all strategic, man. It's all strategic.
Yeah, dude. Totally. And like, I mean, even to take it a step further, like we even have players in our own programs where it's like it's not working out. I had a freshman come in last year.
There you go.
I had a freshman come in last year that I inherited from the previous staff, and sweet kid, loved her, amazing kid. Just wasn't going to play for me. Like, just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And I sat her down. I'm like, look, we need to send you somewhere where you're going to enjoy this, like where you're going to have life outside of softball, and maybe a school that doesn't take it as seriously as we do. And that's okay. Like, that's okay if that's what you're looking for. She goes to a JUCO down the road, and I called her the other day. She's happy as can be. Like, and that's part of like the player experience.
That's what it's all about.
Well,
I wish it was like that for everybody, Corbin. I really do.
Yeah,
that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, like we want kids to be happy, right? If we want to be happy, we want kids to be happy. And if a kid's not happy in your program, why do you want them there? Why do you not want to release them? Why do you not want to help them, go on to something better? Because like we miss on kids. We do. Like that's just part of the business. And like if we miss on kids, part of our job as high-level human beings, right, is to say like, man, I messed up. I brought in a kid that doesn't fit this. Like, let's go at this a second time and let's help place this kid in somewhere where they're going to thrive.
Absolutely.
And that's how you make up for it. And then then the kid loves you, the family loves you, there's respect gained. Like, again, it's bigger than baseball. It's bigger than softball. And again, specifically on the baseball side, right? Pro ball, draft, dreams, independent ball, overseas ball, you name it, we've all talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so like from a standpoint of a baseball coach, like, dude, like what are the chances of you getting drafted? Right? Drafted. What are the chances of you signing a free agent deal? Like, what are the chances of you even signing to play independent ball? Right? Like one of the best hitters in USF, the University of South Florida history. Okay. His name's Drew Brutcher. Dude played major Division I baseball in South Florida. Goes undrafted. He's playing indie ball. Like one of our best pitchers in Montreat history, Daniel Willey, up to 95, striking out, ridiculous guys. He had 300 strikeouts, like just crazy. It's crazy stuff, right? Record-breaking stuff. Dude goes unsigned. He's playing indie ball in Billings, Montana.
Wow.
Like, we had a kid in our conference who was a third baseman at Tennessee Wesleyan. The dude hit 450 with 30 homers.
Oh, Jesus.
He hit 30 homers, 100 RBIs. 100 RBIs in a college season. The Dodgers sign him as a free agent to pitch. And like it's just like things that you're like, what in the world?
Yeah, well, I mean, we could talk about that, just changing positions. Holy Jesus. But that's so true that what you just said. I mean, I have a quick story, because we only got a couple of minutes, but we had a kid that played Dixie State, his last 2 years at Dixie State, and killed it, broke records, like a 380 batting average, caught with the Royals after just catching bullpens, right? And this dude should have been drafted, right? Just like a lot of these D1s that don't get signed, they're hitting over 350. but they're an everyday starter for 3 years or 4 years, right? They don't get drafted, right? And they finally said, "Oh, we're going to sign you because we're down a catcher." They signed him just to catch, right? But they signed him, and the dude got his opportunity when other catcher went down, and then all of a sudden started hitting. The dude's in AAA and already had big league time.
Yeah.
He got traded to the Mets. I mean, it just happens. It just opportunity is opportunity, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But
and I'll be honest, like the one thing I did want to talk to you guys about on the baseball side is like the whole and like from recruiting, Tony, you hear this, right? Like if you're good enough, they'll find you, right? I think like, and I don't know where you guys stand on this. Okay. I'm very old school in this stance of I still believe if you're good enough, they'll find you, right? That's why there's dudes that no one's ever heard of that are posting videos on Twitter and they're signing. Like no one's ever heard of this kid before. Like, but he posts one video on Twitter, some school picks him up. Like, and again, so like when I say like I still believe in the days of if you're good enough, they'll find you, that's with social media.
Well, it's marketing 101. Marketing 101.
Yes.
I mean, that I always say that you're your own business, right? You have to market yourself to be found. It's like if I'm gonna start a business today, I'm not gonna be found if I don't market myself. It's just not gonna happen, right? Especially if I'm e-commerce, right?
Yep.
It's the same thing as an athlete. If you do not market yourself, you will not be found. I mean, the odds are 5% are going to get found. 95% aren't. So you're absolutely right. But you got to market yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I truly still believe in the days of like, if you're good enough, they'll find you. I mean, and again, 90 was the magic number. 90 is not the magic number anymore. 95 is the magic number. Like you want to play big league ball, dude, 100 is the magic number. Like the game's totally transformed. Right. Like
well, now, I mean, and now the draft has gone even lower. So your chances of even just they're minute.
Yeah, with Major League Baseball cutting back on a lot of those minor league teams and cutting the draft down, like, those guys that are getting that chance in the 40th round that just make it, and it's that crazy story. Like, dude, they're not getting those opportunities anymore. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and it's as it is. Like, we hate that as baseball guys. Like, we want to see as much baseball played as possible. But, like, the one thing I'll tell you that I think the girls on the softball side do well for the most part is, like, when they're happy, dude, they're happy. Like, baseball dudes are always looking for something better. Always. Always. Like, whether it's level, whether it's pro ball, whether it's metrics, like, and again, I think there's an element of, like, you should always try to be improving yourself. I totally believe in that. But, like, how many times you hear of a dude goes to a school, right? Maybe a D1 school. He's on a full scholarship. He's got some NIL money. He's the Friday night guy. But for some reason, he thinks he's got to hit the portal and go somewhere else. Like, dude, what else you want? You know what I mean? There's just, and I think that maybe that's just like the male intuition of like, you're never happy. Like, continue to make yourself better. I agree with that. But like, you guys know, man, like when girls know they're loved and they're cared for, like, dude, like they're happy. Like, and that's why girls are willing to commit so much earlier. Yeah. Dude, we were dude, baseball guys, we had baseball guys showing up to campus after classes started.
No way.
Because we were finding them in different spots. Yeah. Like, dead serious, dude. I found a Bohemian kid, 6'5", was up to 97 one time. Somehow, dude, this guy, he was from Nassau. His mom got him somehow a ride on the bottom of a Carnival cruise ship from Grand Bahama to Miami, and the Bohemian Embassy bought him a plane ticket from Miami to Asheville.
Wow.
Dude, never saw the kid, saw a video, called him on WhatsApp. Like, he showed up and pitched. Dude was up to 97.
Dude, those are that's crazy to me.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
and so even in softball, for the most part, like at our level, and you guys know this, is like it's still mostly American. There's still some international kids here and there, maybe Canadians, maybe like just here and there. But dude, like college
baseball is off the chart. Yeah, it's international.
Dude, the Dominicans and the Cubans and the Puerto Ricans and the Mexicans, dude, and the Japanese. Dude, we've had 3 Japanese kids in the last 3 or 4 years here.
Yeah, I'm working
from Tokyo.
Yeah, my son played with a kid from Japan.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing.
He played in the North. He played in the Northwest, and now he played in Arizona. Now he's done. But I'm working with him right now just to get more of these Japanese kids over to the baseball side and on the softball side because they're studs.
Well, I think softball is about maybe 10 years away from that being a big change.
Yeah.
Just because it's starting to grow so much in the
Right.
United States, but it's also starting to grow everywhere else as well.
Yeah. And it's getting bigger in some progressive countries like Australia, you know.
Even Australia, yeah, big time.
Yeah, but again, like the baseball guys, like they're competing with the best from around the world for the same college spots. You know, again, it's a little bit of a different conversation for softball, but like, you know, I just would like to see more baseball players just plant their roots and fight. Like, plant your roots, get better, dude. Like, be the best version of yourself. Like, go from 85 to 92 and win a job. Like, you know, and so that's the one thing. Again, I've been removed from baseball for a year and a half. I've got travel teams and, you know, I've done that, just pass them over and turn them over to my best friend. But the baseball world as a whole, man, is just, I don't think it's in a great place in terms of recruiting and things. And it's really a shame. It's truly a shame of like, and I think it starts at home with parents teaching their kids, like, when you face some adversity, like, fight, like, plant your roots, be tough.
I think the world's changed a little bit and kind of changed a lot of that.
Totally has.
From when we actually played. But I also think, you know, with all the social media and everything else, the recruiting process, if they do it right and they really try to, you know, educate themselves on the school, the coaches, and everything else, the opportunity to stay for 4 years is a hell of a lot better than staying for one.
Well, let me ask you this, Corbin. So on the baseball,
Tommy, we got like a minute and a half, so make it quick.
So on the baseball side, how do you feel about a guy going, you know, transferring 3 times? I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
Good and bad, depending on situation. You know, like I'm initially, my answer to your question is like, not a fan. Yeah. Definitely not a fan. But who knows? Maybe that kid has made huge gains across the board where he was 80, now he's 88, now he's 95, and he just went from a low-end JUCO to a mid-major D1. Like, I don't blame that kid at all, you know, for bettering himself. You know, so I think there's always like relativity to that question, but like, sure, I'm a huge fan of kids bettering themselves, but also like just that element of being content where you are and just planting your roots.
Yeah.
That's a good answer. Yeah. I mean, we have my son had a little similar to that actually. Went from a big D1 University of Mexico, and then transferred out and finally went to JUCO and then transferred to a 4-year. But again, he was behind a freshman All-American and six catchers. And
exactly, and you're not always told those things.
No, and
I was a high school catcher. I was pretty good. Thought I was going to catch my freshman year, and my coach brought in a transfer from Liberty. I didn't catch. Like, what am I? Dude, the kid was 6'3", 240.
Jesus.
Like, I played some third base, I played some left field, and I DH'd. We won a conference championship. Like, I wasn't happy at the time, but we won a conference championship, went to the World Series. Like, I'm happy. You know what I mean? And so, again, just embracing adversity. And the best year I ever had playing ball at Southeastern was a year that I DH'd like 50 games. Yeah. But I embraced my role. Coach Beck told me, man, just like embrace it. Be the best you can be at what I'm asking you to do. And when everybody on your team is being the best at what you're asking them to do, dude, you can win a championship.
Yeah, Corbin, thank you very much for that. That's a good way to end right there. I mean, that was perfect. Thanks again for going on this podcast with Tommy and I. This is some great information.
Enjoy, man.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Very honored, my man. Very honored.
You are the man, and we really appreciate you taking the time out of the night for this and helping Tommy with this, because it's all about getting the word out. So thank you very much.
Hey, by the way, take care of them fish back there too. Dang it!
I know there's no fish yet. We're trying to get the water right before.